We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show.
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
Today, Jill and I are talking about, well, this is episode 2214, and today Jill and I are talking about understanding the 4 land market cycles and acting accordingly.
Here's my contribution for today. I'm going to try to make this fun and interesting because I got to tell you, this title already puts me to sleep.
Wow.
I have to be honest, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Please comment in there. Please leave a note in the comments if you agree with me. Like, I can't believe I actually listened to this.
All right, hold on a second. What would you like to talk about today?
I
Because I can do this topic in 4 or 5 minutes.
We can talk about this, but God, it sounds boring.
I have to tell you, as much experience as I have in real estate, I did not know about this until about 2 years ago.
Do you know what'd be a better title? Is like, how to not crash and burn like I did in 2008. Okay, now I want to listen.
Let's talk about that.
Well, and it relates to the cycles.
Right.
So this is my point.
Okay, we'll do the
A different
question.
title would have been better.
We'll do the question
Okay.
like we always do. We'll talk about it. And then
Yeah.
when we get to the actual meat of the show,
Yeah.
I'll talk for 13 seconds about the 4 cycles of real estate because everybody really needs to know, especially if you're new, needs to know what they are. And then we'll apply it to 2008.
Well, and part of it is you think you crash and burn, but, right, if you don't plan for these cycles today, acting accordingly, then you will. Otherwise, if you plan for these, you won't crash and
See,
burn.
now it's not that boring.
Well, yeah, because I saved it.
Oh, okay. Jill, you're amazing.
Stop it.
Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum, take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request.
Okay, so Neil wrote, when the for sales are greater than or less than the number sold. So active, okay, let me back. I'm going to rewrite this question for
This
everyone.
is nerd day today, and Jill doesn't know what to do.
No,
This
I know.
is nerdy technical stuff that Jill
You know
wants to
what?
have a blast.
It's just that Neil is writing a question at the advanced or the doctorate level, and I want to make sure everybody understands what this means. So Neil's clearly in Zillow or Realtor or something like that. He's comparing the active properties are listed for sale versus the sold comps. So he's saying, okay, when the number for sale is less than the number sold, meaning the properties are in high demand because there's, less active than there are sold, yay, then why would sellers be motivated to sell them at 25% of market price?
This is an incredibly good question, and here's the fun answer for Jill today.
Oh, it's great. Well, not a fun answer, but it's a real
People
question.
sell real estate under its current published value, published on the internet, not their brother-in-law value, the published internet value, because they have had or are experiencing a life event, and they need the money, or they need to move. Mm-hmm. That's the reason. You have to undo this if you're new in this business. Undo this natural thought that people know what the price is. They know what their house or their piece of land is worth, which they don't most of the time, and disconnect the correlation between price and saleability. What you're really, really, truly fishing for when you're out there is a life event. Mm-hmm. And that's why we encourage you to send a ton of mail out, because I haven't had a life event yet this week. It's Thursday. I could tomorrow or Saturday. But I have a life event on Tuesday, and I get your letter on Wednesday. I'm going to respond to it. I'm not going to respond this week, though. Everything's good.
Right. I have a job. Everybody's healthy. Nothing's going on. And then, wham, my plant closes or something like that. We're laid off, or who knows what it is. They're downsizing. And then 2 days, you're like, what are we going to do? Looking around the house going, holy cow. And then what can I sell? Do I sell a car? And then the letter arrives, oh my gosh, I totally forgot we even had this land and someone even wants it. And they're going to give me $23,000 like in 2 weeks. They can close that fast. I'm calling them.
So
I need that. I don't have time to wait for anything else. I'm certainly not going to list it and get pictures and wait 6 months and fingers crossed. I want the $23,000 right now.
If Jill and I went down the list of deals that we've done this year so far, she could tell you in great detail, excuse me, what is happening in that seller's life and why.
And that's why I changed my whole script. I've talked about this recently in the last couple of weeks, which is before I even talk money with the people, now I want to know what's going on. I want to identify that they are really having a life event. And this is like the, whoa, what timing moment for them. Because then I'm going to, solve this problem with them and for them that much faster.
So I have to add this before we move on to the actual topic. There's always somebody in a group when Jill and I do this live or when we explain what we do, just when we explain it like we are right now, who says, so you're taking advantage of somebody? Aww. And so here's the deal. If I were a real estate agent and you had a life event, the seller had a life event on Tuesday, and I'm a real estate agent and said you want to sell your house on Wednesday, their response is going to be yes. And they are about, 3 weeks to a month before it ever even gets listed, because it's got to be cleaned up and all kinds of things have to happen. There's so much paperwork involved. They have to confirm that you actually own it. There's a lender. There's a lot of things that are very complicated, especially this day and age, that stand in the way of even the best real estate agents getting stuff listed and then getting it sold. So then listing it's a 30-day event. Having it active is at least a 30-day event. And then if the buyer's got a mortgage, it's maybe a 30 to 60-day event. That's just how it is. People are going to disagree with my numbers, but here's my point. It's complicated to sell a piece of property through a real estate agent. Or you can sign our letter, talk to Jill, or your letter in Neil's case, and sell the property within days. We are ungoverned as non-licensed real estate agents, and so are you if you're not licensed, to buy and sell property in days. It takes us 3 or 4 days to buy and to get a property into our name in this circumstance in the Southwest. Every state's different, every circumstance different, but it's very quick.
Totally.
It's convenience.
It is. We can go on and on about that, but we won't.
Yeah. Today's topic, understanding land market cycles and acting accordingly. Even though Jill thinks this is boring, I think it's fascinating.
It's just the title. That's what was really snoozing me. So, anyway.
All cycles, there's these four components to every real estate cycle. The one that we're in right now is hypersupply, and we're headed very quickly into a recession. We had a terrible real estate depression last time that I think ended around 2011, and we've been in this cycle ever since. In real estate in 2011, we were in recovery. And I'm going to put something up on the screen here so you can see it. Recovery means there's declining vacancy and no real new construction. That's phase one. Phase two is declining vacancy. It's called expansion. Declining vacancy, and again, no construction because the demand isn't there. Phase three is hypersupply. Now it's been overbuilt. So we make money between all these stages. That's the whole key, the takeaway here. Mm-hmm. Phase three, hypersupply, increasing vacancy, and new construction. And you don't go from phase two to phase three overnight. It takes years in most cases. Again, we're at the end of a cycle. We're about to go into a recession, a real estate recession, that this whole cycle started in 2008. So that's quite some time ago, almost 10 years ago. And then finally, phase four, recession, which is increasing vacancy and more construction completion. And so when the way to simplify it this way, you have demand. It's very easy in all these markets to buy real estate because we're not as subject to the economic things that surround these phases. What we're looking for is what we explained it, and which is why I associated the question with this actual topic. We're looking for a circumstance.
I have a question.
Personal circumstance.
Okay, based on this example, when did you say the last big cycle like this was? You said 2008. Did you mean 2018?
No, 8.
Okay, so it was 20-something years ago.
Oh, yes,
20.
yes.
You said 4 years ago. I'm like,
sorry.
okay. So one of the numbers didn't
Almost
jive
10.
with me, and I wasn't sure
Sorry.
what you're talking about. So almost 20 years ago, because we're in 2025. So 2028 will be 20 years ago. So 15 years ago, has long
Yeah.
it's taken us to get to this cycle.
Correct. This
That's-
is really the longest cycle I remember.
Okay. You know what's great about that is we can go back. It's fun to go back when you and I do our Thursday member calls and you look at the data of the swings and interest rates and stuff like that. So you can go back and you could tie some of these because they go back years, decades, and you can tie these cycles in a lot of the data that we can get our hands on for free.
A substantial percentage of the land out there is, air quotes, unwanted. In a recessionary period where you're having other things go on in your life, that percentage theoretically goes up a little.
True.
So it's easier to buy property super, super cheap. Not as easy to sell it in these recessionary times.
True.
To combat that, we heavily encourage you to buy properties in the 15 to 20% of what the retail value is, the posted retail value. Mm-hmm. So this is it's predictable. The first two cycles that I went through back in the 90s and then the 2000s, when it was in a recessionary scenario, like many people in the back of my head, I said, that's it. I'm watching our children who are especially number 3, who's in his early 20s. He just thinks it's over. He thinks that baby boomers and our generation,
Like we bought it
Gen
all.
X, yeah, it's over.
Oh yeah,
We
we
wreck-
bought it
we-
all.
and we
We can
wrecked
never
it.
buy a house.
We wrecked it.
Your interest rates screwed us. Who knows?
They
What else did we do wrong?
And I remember.
You guys, we gotta. This is good. You guys, let's see here. The way that speeding tickets are delivered, you ruined that for me. Let's see what else. Yeah.
So the fact is, it's a cycle. And I remember being that age and thinking, my parents and grandparents wrecked it. We'll never be able to buy houses this cheap again. And here we are. The cycle will be, there's a saying that I'll never get used to, but in Southern California, I've heard many people say it in the real estate industry, the houses double every 10 years. And I said, for a while, I fought that. And then I went and looked back. And it's absolutely true. Every 10 years, regardless of the cycle. So does that happen in Ohio? Not at all. All I'm saying is be aware of these cycles and use them to your advantage. Apply common sense, do a bunch of research on it. You can buy and sell real estate during every cycle very successfully. Join us tomorrow where Jill and I discuss why community is the secret ingredient to longevity in the land business. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
We are Jack and Jill.
Information
And inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you find our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.